Mr. Ofir Eyal, CEO of Rakuten Viber, is with us. Thank you very much, Mr. Eyal, for this conversation.
Thank you. Ευχαριστώ. Kalimera.
Mr. Eyal, today Viber has announced its partnership with OpenAI and the integration of ChatGPT into the application. I would like to ask you, what does this mean in practical terms and how it will change the way people communicate every day with the application?
So in practical terms, it means that starting from today, every Viber user in Greek will open Viber and they will see a ChatGPT tab inside their Viber, and they will see a lot more AI experiences. So we're supercharging Viber with all these AI features. For example, in regular one-on-one or group conversations, you can now tag ChatGPT and ask a question, and the question will be answered by AI, and everybody in the group will see the answer. So we can plan a trip together or anything that we need AI's help. And then you can remix photos. So any photo I send you or you send me, we can now, with a simple prompt inside Viber, edit it or change it or create something fun around the photo. And of course the ChatGPT tab, which allows us to have the same ChatGPT experience that was previously available in their app or website, but now inside Viber. And the idea is to bring all this for free to all Viber users, and starting today, also in Greece.
So, do you believe AI will fundamentally change the way we communicate over the next few years? What will messaging look like in 5 years from now, for example? 5 years is not far away, but still we cannot say what will happen in 5 years.
It's very hard to know. You know, back when I was growing up and I wanted to talk to somebody, I would pick up the telephone and I would call him. And today we see from Viber users that it's very rude to call somebody without sending him a message before, are you free?
Exactly.
So we see the culture changes, and stuff that was normal 10, 20 years ago is now very considered rude. We actually see, and another story is that when SMS was invented, it was somewhat invented by mistake, and then the people that invented didn't know what they had. They said, who would want to use this? Who would want to send me a short message when they can talk to me over the phone? And now we see that the vast majority of Viber users, even though we offer we offer chats and calls, the vast majority, 90%, use messages daily, and only 10-20% use calls. So we see the communication evolving over time. What can we envision AI does? So we can envision AI summarizing a lot of things. So if in those group chats with the family, and let's say you didn't open your phone for a day or two, or went back from vacation, and you open and you see 200 unread messages, and your mother is angry that you're not replying in the family group chat. So with AI, you can press one button and can say, okay, this is what happened, and now you need to get back to your mother if you're coming on Saturday.
Summarize, for example.
Summarize, for example, which is a live feature, and we see people adopting it.
Okay.
We can envision AI agents. So in a call, let's say we talk about we want to go to a music festival or a music concert, and then there's this awkwardness of who buys the tickets and who pays for it. So we can ask the AI we can envision it, buy us tickets and then send the payment request to each person in the group. But that's really, time will tell, because even today we see that there are this, so people can use OpenClaw, which is for very tech-oriented people can do tasks instead of you, but it's really not a matter of technology, it's a matter of people's trust and safety. So how comfortable are people with AI, not just rephrasing or answering questions, but how comfortable are they with AI actually taking their credit card and buying something? So this is something we will need to see how people evolve.
You spoke about safety, so let's go to this section. Is very, I think it's very important for the users, not only Viber users, every user. So as AI becomes more powerful, online scams and misinformation are also increasing. How is Viber protecting its users, and what are the 3 most important tips you would give people to stay safe online?
So first of all, let's start from what we are doing. So Viber was always very, very much safety oriented. So even today, all our chats and calls are end-to-end encrypted. End-to-end encryption, for the people who are not fully familiar with the tech jargon, it means that nobody besides the two people communicating can read the messages, not even Viber employees. So this is protected from everybody, from the bad players, but also from Viber employees, and nobody can see what we're talking and chatting. And we were one of the first to introduce this. By the way, not all messaging apps offer end-to-end by default. So my first tip for somebody is choose a messaging app where all your chats are encrypted end-to-end by default. Because on some other apps, you need to kind of turn it on. You need to go into a menu and say, create a secret chat or an end-to-end encrypted chat, which is weird when you think about it. It's like a car manufacturer that says, I have an airbag in this car, but every time before you drive, you have to turn it on. It's our number one priority, but what we see actually that users, they don't necessarily, because that competition app where the chats are not end-to-end encrypted by default, we see it's still very popular and sometimes is considered highly secure. So what we've learned at Viber is that perception doesn't always mean reality, and it's our job to educate and to explain what is end-to-end encryption by default. But the users should really be aware of this and not only rely on rumors or what the tech friend says or what an article says, but they really should look into what does end-to-end encryption mean. So again, tip number one, choose this. Because once our digital lives are documented everywhere and everything we write and say can be saved and used against us, yeah, I agree it's a threat. By the way, on Viber, all your chats, once they reach the other device, they are deleted from Viber servers, so we don't have any history of what you said. And it even means that if you want to backup, you have to backup it on your own iCloud, or your own phone, your own Google Cloud, or your Apple storage. But Viber itself does not keep anything of your conversations.
To other services now, Viber recently launched its eSIM service in Greece. How does it work? And how does it make traveling abroad easier for Viber users?
So eSIM is a very complementary service that makes a lot of sense for an app like Viber, because if we recall, people download Viber because they want affordable communication. And apps like Viber, they grew exponentially 15 years ago because they totally solved the problem of people going abroad or going on vacation and then they need to phone back home. So once you use the technology of voice over IP, that completely reduces the cost. But still, when we travel abroad, we need to pay for data. So we're not paying for the voice calls like we used to do a lot of money per minute, but when we travel abroad, we still sometimes incur high roaming costs. So Viber eSIM comes in to solve the second problem. We solved the first problem of the calls themselves that are very expensive. So now the calls are based on data, but now we need to solve the second part of the equation, which is cheap data. And eSIM solutions are a very good way to save on data while you're traveling, because if you don't buy an eSIM, you're subject to your mobile carrier's high rates for data roaming, which can be 10 to 20 to 30 times more expensive than data on eSIM. So eSIM makes a lot of sense for Viber. It basically means that all users in Greece, they can go to the right place in the app and they can enter the destination where they are traveling, and then they can choose between different packages with very attractive prices. It's a digital SIM, so you don't have to go to a store, you don't have to you install it via the QR code, and we make a point for it to be very, very competitive in terms of pricing, so you can guarantee the best rates if you use Viber eSIM. So once you install the eSIM and now you traveled away from Greece to a different country, you activate the eSIM and then all the data in Viber, but also outside Viber. So you use Google, you use whatever. It is another SIM, what's called an eSIM, electronic SIM, so it's not a physical SIM, but you use it as far as the phone is concerned. It's another SIM that you use for all data. You can use it for Viber, but for anything else.
So you were telling me before the interview that Greece is one of Viber's strongest markets, with millions of people using the application every day. So how important is Greece for Viber? And why do you think the platform has become such an integral part of everyday communication here?
We consider Greece as a purple market. So in the Viber headquarters, in the Viber lingo, we have the markets where we have smartphone penetration of over more than 50%. I'm happy to say that in Greece, over 90% smartphone penetration. And
90%, wow.
out of every 10 devices, 9 have Viber installed. We're very happy with that. It doesn't mean that users don't have other apps. So sometimes users can use 2 apps, but Viber is by far the most popular messaging app here in Greece, and it is very, very important to us because the apps like Viber, because they are free, their business model relies a lot of what we call network effect. Network effect, it means that the bigger we are, the more people that use us, the more value it gives to and it's more, the more easier it is for us to grow. So for example, if I'm a 13-year-old now and I got my first smartphone in Athens, if all my friends have Viber, I would probably install it.
Yeah.
Whether I like it or I don't like it, I will install it. So for us, it's relatively simple to grow. But if we take the opposite, if we go to a market which is not a Viber market, that same 13-year-old wants to, even if he likes the app, he downloads it, he doesn't have anybody to communicate with, so he won't use it. So that is the power of network effect. Basically means that wherever we have a good penetration, it makes sense to continue to invest and grow, but it's very, very difficult or costly or expensive where we don't have a network effect. So that's why Greece being 90% penetration is very, very important to us. We have an office in Greece, we have employees in Greece. I visit here at least once a year, if not twice a year, in my capacity as Viber CEO. Now for the launch of OpenAI, and we always have this persona of the Greek user. Will he use this feature? Is this a good feature for the Greek user? And why are we so big here? I think we can speculate. I think Greeks are very communicative and open, and they want to communicate with the families.
Let's go to Viber dating. Earlier today, you announced the winners of Viber dating competition, where a couple who met through Viber dating won 25,000 euros grand prize. Beyond this success story, what do you believe differentiates Viber dating from other dating apps? And how important is Viber dating to Viber's long-term strategy?
So there's a couple of things that separate, but before that, we are very proud of this couple that we found, but they represent our mission. So when we set out to build Viber dating, we said we have this audience in Viber of millions of users, and usually, how do you use a messaging app? Once you have a relationship, you start communicating with. So you have a partner, you have your spouse. We wanted to go one step before that. We want to empower before the connection starts to discover, to find matches. And
this is not so easy in our era.
Yes. And in today's days where people don't kind of start the relationships in the real world, they start it digitally. So we wanted a place where it could be safe, because Viber is a safe place, or we make sure that it's as safe as possible, because we already serve hundreds of millions of users worldwide. So we have in place the ability to filter scammers and spam, and we know that this is a real phone number because we know that you're using it to communicate with people. And we also, for example, because we know you communicate with your friends and family, we actually know to exclude them from dating, because the worst thing that can happen is to see your boss on a dating app or to see a family member on a dating app. I think what makes us different is we optimize for what we call meaningful connection. So we don't optimize to keep you swiping or to keep you single, quote unquote. So the idea is, for us, we really want to do good in this world, and we really want people to meet and have meaningful connections. So the app itself is built around, or we measure how many people started to chat with each other. And we saw that the time from a match to a chat is something like 6 minutes on average in the app. And we see that 70% of the matches actually lead to a conversation. So we make a great deal of effort to make sure that this app is not just intended to give you a dopamine rush of swiping, but really to solve a problem of people wanting to meet other people.
So, Mr. Eyal, if we meet again 5 years from now, what do you hope people will say Viber has achieved? What is the legacy you want to build as a CEO?
So first of all, what we want is always to do good with our users. So we want to keep maintaining to be safe, to be a safe place. We want to empower users to save more of their time. So with AI now, if that parent has more time to be with their children because AI helped them save time finding a business or transferring money or answering something, then we did our part. We want to empower our users, and how that will look in 5 years, whether it's what services will that be, if the AI agent will solve 50% of our problems or 80%, that is too early to tell. But the legacy is Viber is a company that solves problems for you and makes your lives easier. That's actually our mission, making our users' lives easier.